Sure. All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Tesvav, Mesechus Nedarim. So we left off yesterday with the case we started, and actually almost today's Daf deals with it entirely. So the case is like this. A person says, I will not sleep today if I sleep tomorrow. Right. It's going to be a machlokas between Rav Nachman and Rav Yehuda. Now, what is the case? So tomorrow is the stipulation, right? The stipulation is if I sleep tomorrow, then that triggers a neder today. Okay, so we're going to call that trigger, right? That is the tanai. That's the condition. So that condition will trigger the isser today. So the question is, can I do that isser today and then just prevent the condition from triggering the neder? So Rav Yehuda says, no, we don't trust you because people aren't as careful when it comes to not doing the tanai, not doing the trigger for the isser. And Rav Nachman says, no problem, right? Just like a person is careful not to violate a vow. So if he sleeps today, then he knows that he can't sleep tomorrow, so he won't violate the vow retroactively. Fine. So that was the machlekes between Rav Nachman and Rav Yehuda.
It was Roy Rogers' horse, Trigger.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
What page are we on?
Tesvav. All right, Roy Rogers' horse. Fine. All right. So second line from the top. So Tanan, first, now we're why do we bring in this case? We're going to bring it in as because we're going to use our Mishnah as a kasha. Let's see. So first we have to build up understanding of our Mishnah. We sort of went over this and we were questioned by it yesterday. So Tanan, Kainem Shani Yashain Shani Mahalech Shani Madaber. So he says, right, Kainem, right? It's a Kainem vow, it's forbidden for me to sleep, for me to walk, for me to speak. So hey, Chidavi, what's the case? If it's like as it's written literally, Shani Yashay, then let's say I'm going to go at forbidden for me to sleep. So we have in a dar. Is this a neder? But tonight, as we learned in the mission, we saw we asked this kasha, I believe it was yesterday, the day before. Shkach, thank you very much. Right? Chaymer b'shvuas, shashvuas chalas al davar sheish b'mamash vein aval davar shein b'mamash. Now, shvuas for a person to do something can be chal either on a particular physical item or even something which is an action, which is not a physical item. Davar shein b'mamash, something that has no essence. Bashen came a darim, but it doesn't by a darim. You can't go ahead and make a neder on something that isn't the physical item. The shina. And my sleeping is forbidden. Davar sheba mamashu, right? The name of mamash. Ela diamar. It must be our Mishnah is referring to. He says, "Kainem einai b'shinai." Right. For kainem are my eyes from sleeping and my mouth from talking, my legs from walking. Okay, so that answers that. Now, what's the case there?
Amen.
Now, if he says my eyes are forbidden for sleeping forever. Mishaf kinale. Do we allow him to make it another? Ad davar yisur bayachal until he buys it yisur bayachal. V'amar Rabbi Yechina. Shavua shaleishan shleishi. When a person makes a shul, he will not sleep for 3 days. Malkin oiso v'yashin le'alter. A person cannot physically stay up for more than 3 days, once for 72 hours, and therefore we give him lashes by even saying it. Right? We don't even allow him to do it. V'yashin alter, and we make him go ahead and sleep immediately. So that was that case. That case is later on. We can get to that case. Why make him sleep and all that? We give Malchus right away. Why not wait? Ella, the Omar, rather, what is the case of our Mishnah?
Brings that kasha from the shvuah on the neder.
What?
Brings that kasha from the shvuah on the neder.
But it's just showing that what is the neder of his eyes from 3 days? So if we're talking about my eyes from sleeping forever, so then we know in the case of shvuah that we give him malchus right away. So in the case of neder, if he says my eyes from sleeping, then that can't be the pshat of the Mishnah, because the pshat of the Mishnah, Ella Damar, it wasn't a darm. Yeah. Ella Damar, Kainem Einai B'Shina Lamachar Imeshin Hayam. Maybe we'll say like this. Maybe the case is my eyes are I cannot go ahead and sleep tomorrow if I sleep today. No, the Tanai is today for tomorrow. So Marta called Abisur Zaire. Everybody agrees, right? That's okay. So you can sleep today, do what you want. Just tomorrow, right? Tomorrow you're going to go ahead and you got to be careful. Now remember, our Mishnah uses a funny lashon of. It doesn't say asurim or devar of kayaman. Rather, it says harei zeh b'lo yachal devara. Right? So he violates b'lo yachal devara. So why would he violate b'lo yachal devara? Let him sleep today. Let him trigger the condition, and then tomorrow he has another not to sleep. Big deal. Why is it violated by yachal devara? Ella pshita. Rather, what must be the case of our Mishnah? Pshita de amar kainem einai b'shina hayoim imeshin l'machar. My eyes are forbidden from sleeping today if I sleep tomorrow. Okay. Now that was the exact case we had arguing between Rav Nachman and Rav Yehuda, and today is going to be a kasha and Rav Yehuda day. Now, v'lo naim hayom. If he doesn't sleep today, kinayim l'machar my bayachal l'davarayika. So if he doesn't sleep today, that even if he triggers the nether to bichal, well, he didn't sleep today, so he didn't violate bayachal d'vara. Elalav. Rather, we're talking about where he's allowed to go to sleep. So you see, he's allowed to go to sleep today. Just be careful with the condition tomorrow. Kasha and Rav Yehuda, Alma Isa Denai, Utiyuf to Rav Yehuda. We see that he's allowed to go ahead and sleep today, as long as he doesn't go ahead and violate or trigger the Tanai to go ahead and work. Utiyuf to Rav Yehuda, be Kasha and Rav Yehuda. So Rav Yehuda answer no. Kikatani D9. It doesn't say he's allowed to go out and sleep, but just say if he sleeps today and then tomorrow he sleeps again, then he violates bo yachal devaro. Ravino Amar l'yelam kiliktani. Really, like we said earlier, you don't even have to go into the regular case of changing around shani yashan. He doesn't even say my eyes. So why is that chal even on a nether? So Ravina wants to get this whole situation. My bayachel. What is the bayachel here? Midrabanan only means bayachel derabanan. It's not deraisa because deraisa really it's not a nether. Derabanan we treat it as a nether, right? Umi ika bayachel midrabanan is such thing as we treat it even as a nether because he says right. He mentioned lashon nether, kaine, right? So he said no, nevertheless we call it bayachel derabanan. Right on this nether, even though it's not midoraisa, it's not really nether because it's on a davar shein bo mamish. Does there exist a violation of bayachal midorabanan? Of course, we have another situation. Vatani's learned in another case. Let's say things that are in essence mutter, but there are people knowing for it to be usher. Whether it's a person's makbid, yoshan or whatever, pasra, whatever it is. You can't go ahead and matter before them or do it in front of them. So it says that lo yachal devaro. So in essence it's mutter, but for those who are knowing isser, so therefore midrabanan we see that yachal devaro applies. Now, next case, next kasha on Rav Yehuda. Tanan, very similar. Alumnus that we're going to have that we previously had. So if you followed that earlier, now we're going to continue with this. Now, Tanan, a guy forbids Sha'as Nahan Li Ada Pesach Im Telchi LeBeis Avicha Adachad. So let's say right after Purim, a guy says to his wife, "You are forbidden to get Hana from me between now and Pesach." Which is the next month, next 30 days. You can't get enough of me. If you go to your father's house over the next 7 months until Sukkot. Okay. So now the trigger, the Tanai, is beyond the Zman of the Yisr, right? So this would be very similar to the case we had earlier. In other words, I don't know whether it's usher for you to get Hana from me right now. It will depend if you go to your father's house between now, throughout the summer until Sukkot, right? So, in our case before, right, Rav Nachman would say, okay, just, you can get Hana from your husband now. Just be careful not to go to your father's house. And Rav Yehuda would say, don't get Hana now because you might violate it and go now. Now, if she goes before a Pesach, so she's made things really easy. Now we know the nether applies. Therefore, she's asur b'hana ad Pesach. Holcha lifnei Pesach, right? If she goes for a Pesach, then asura, then it's asur. Lo halcha, but if she doesn't go, then lo, right? Then it would not be, right? Then it would not be lo halcha, but she doesn't go before Pesach. Then she's not forbidden to get hana, right? So it sounds like, right, that if she didn't go, if she didn't trigger it, you can get hana still. So it's a kasha of Yehuda. Rav Yehuda says he shouldn't be saying in this case, you're not allowed to get hana until Pesach because you might go later on. So I'm Rabbi Abba. So Rabbi Abba says, if she goes before Pesach, then gets hana asura v'leika, then she's asura v'leika. Lo halcha, she doesn't go, then asura, right? If she didn't go, right, then it would be asura b'yalma, right?
She's loca if she got the hana.
Right, only if she got hana and she went before, right?
Why
But
does she get malchus? She got hana. He should get malchus. He got.
That's right.
no. He no. If he forbids her from his items, right? His items, I can prevent her, even though she didn't say it, right? She has to hear it, obviously, right? But and she has to be, told, that this is the case. But he's allowed to go ahead and ask her their own items. Right.
Go on, explain.
I mean, totally, untenable request. And if she makes on hers, she's the one who's responsible for it.
So, yeah, right.
You have to give me $1 million.
Gotta go try the Torah.
No, but that's not the case. If I can forbid upon you all of my, now you'll see it's a kasha. If I'm the king and I own the entire city and whatever it is, so then maybe like your person can't do anything because all the food is and all this, right? So that would be a different scenario. But over here, he's allowed to ask for his own possessions on whoever he wants. So lo holcha asur b'yal, right? Then, but if she didn't go, right, then she would just be an asur b'yalma. So Ema Seifa. So let's look at the Seifa. Achar Pesach, if she goes after Pesach by Yachad Dvar, and she violates by Yachad Dvar, Idloi is nahi. If not Pesach, if she didn't get Hana, Miika by Yachel, right? Well, how could she violate by Yachel if she didn't get Hana? Ela Pshita is nahi. It must be that she got Hana. So you see, she's allowed to get Hana before Pesach. Just got to be careful. And Rav Yehuda says, no, you can't get Hana because you might trigger it. So Alma Misani, we see that she's allowed to go ahead and get Hana. Utiyufta Rav Yehuda, and therefore Bikasha Rav Yehuda. So Gemara says, Ki Katani. So Rav Yehuda says, no, Ki Katani, Di is Hani, Hare, is that, Rav Yehuda is not saying that, she's just saying, if she did get Hana, she wasn't supposed to, but if she did get Hana, then Hare Zeba Yachad Devara. Then she violates by Yachad Devara. We're talking about if she actually did, right? Not saying she's allowed to, but if she did. Now,
I still don't understand why she's the one who's owner.
Because it's us on her to use it.
it's us on her. I forbid you from my property.
Why is she the one that's over Baal Yachad Devara?
Because
it wasn't her words. She was,
but it's on the object. This object now, the nether was made on this object from all my possessions for you not to get Hana. So even though it's not Devaro, right? She was the one who said it, but she had to adhere to the nether, and she didn't adhere to the nether.
Was after your friend also after your way?
I'm sorry?
I said to you the same thing.
Yeah, it was the same thing. Yeah, I think that was just the situation.
Yeah, you read the run. Last one.
Yeah.
The
So Tanan, let's similar case. Sha'as nanizli adachag. Now here's the other case. You can't get Hana from me. Let's say we'll go at the same time. He made it right after Purim. You can't get any Hana from me adachag until Sukkot for the next 6 months or whatever, 7 months, right? Im telchi lebeis avicha ad Pesach. If you go to your father's house between now and Pesach. Okay, so Rosh Chodesh Nisan, right, which is before Pesach, right? So that could still be a potential time for her to trigger, and also, and if it is triggered, it would be forbidden for Hana, right now. So he says, now, if she goes before Pesach, so now it's very easy. In other words, it triggered the nether, which would aser any Hana between now and Sukkot. So Haflifnei Pesach, Asur Banasa Adachad, right? Simple, right? That's Pashut, right? Once she goes ahead, day one, She says, okay, I don't care. She goes to her father's house. Then she's asur b'hana from her husband until Sukkot. Umuteres leilech achar Pesach. Right, but there was nothing wrong about going after Pesach. Right, we don't say you can't go after Pesach. Right? No. Halcha asura. So what do you see over here? If she goes now, right, then it's asur. But let's say she didn't go now, right? Let's say it's Rosh Chodesh, right? She hasn't go Rosh Chodesh Nisan, right, which is before, right? She didn't trigger it yet. So we don't know if she's going to trigger it for the next 14 days. Nevertheless, it only says if she went, then it's asur to get hana, right? Lo halcha, but she does. It hasn't gone yet. Lo, then she's not forbidden from hana. So what do you see over here? That even though the next 14 days, right, she could trigger it, she can still get hana from her husband today. So you see, not like Rav Yehuda, right? Because Rav Yehuda would say you can't even get hana because you might trigger it in the future. And if you trigger it in the future retroactively, you're going to violate it. But over here, we don't seem to be concerned. So Rava says no. Who did the afilu lahalcha, right? No, even if she didn't go a surah, right? No, even if she doesn't go, then it would still be asur. Right? So what are we talking about over here? Halcha, if there's a halcha, if she went asura, v'loika. That is, if she went and got anah, then asura v'loika, lo halcha. But if she didn't go, then asura b'yam, right? Then it would just be asur b'yam. So Meisvei, a similar case, and I think this is the final case of this. Now, Meisvei, kikar zo alai hayom im elech l'makom plani l'machar. A guy says, I'm done buying Powerball tickets, right? So this bread is going to be forbidden for me now. If I go to the 7-Eleven tomorrow and buy Powerball tickets. So kikazor ala hayom im elech l'makom plani l'machar. So the tanai, the condition that would trigger is tomorrow, right? And this man Ister is right now, or is this piece of bread right now? So kikazor ala hayom im elech l'makom plani l'machar. Achal, if he went ahead and ate the piece of bread, hare ze bal yelech, right? So if he ate it, then you got to be careful because if you go ahead and walk tomorrow, then you basically triggered the nether by walking. So therefore, you can no longer walk tomorrow. But what do you see over there?
Not asur to eat the bread.
He can eat the bread. So the answer is not miktani eichel. Who says he's allowed to eat the bread? It just means achel ktani if he ate the bread. He wasn't supposed to, but if he ate the bread, said Rabbi Yehuda, then you better be careful not to go to the store tomorrow because then you're going to go ahead and violate with the bal yelech by walking. You're violating your ism. So miktani eichel ktani chiachel harei bal yelech, and therefore if he ate it, then he'll be violated by yelech. So halach. So if he went ahead and if he went, hareza bal yachel. So if he went the next day, so it says further in the Brisa, he went hareza bal yachel, devara, right? So what do you see over here? So it's hareza bal yachel, devara, right? Mahalech loy, right? So it says no. If he went, however, but he shouldn't go. But what do you see over here? That he was able to go ahead and eat the bread on that day. Right, so he's over there that day, and therefore he shouldn't go ahead and go. The kasher Rav Yehuda, and therefore it's a kasher Rav Yehuda because over here it seems that the only way you violate the next day by going is if you ate it the day before. So you see, it's a kasher Rav Yehuda. The kasher Rav Yehuda, Samar Rav Yehuda, who adin delisnei mahalach. Really could have said you're allowed to go. You're allowed to go the next day because you didn't go ahead and eat this day. However, I did Tani Reisha Achal. If he said the Reisha had to say Achal, Delay Misni because he couldn't say Achal because you weren't allowed to go ahead and eat, right? So therefore, it said Achal. If he ate, then he shouldn't go. But the next day, right? In theory, he should be able to walk there because he never ate, right? So therefore, Tani Seifa Halach. Therefore, also Seifa Halach. But really, according to Rabbi Yehuda, he would say that the first day you're forbidden to go ahead and eating. And the next day you can go ahead and walk l'chachila because even if you walk and you trigger the nether, then you didn't eat the day before, and therefore it would be okay, and therefore it's not a kasha in Rav Yehuda, and Rav Yehuda escaped all these kashas. No bam kash. Now finally we said in the Mishnah, ha'aymer the isha kainim sheni mishamecha harei ze bayachal dvar. Man says to his wife, right, that you are forbidden from having relations. So harei ze bal yachal dvar. So Gemara says, what do you mean? he is obligated to provide for, to her relations, right? The chsiv sheiruksus of anasa, right? It says over there, right? He should clothe her, he should feed her, and he also he should have relations with her. You should not go ahead and take it away. So, now, and therefore, by making the shvua, you're forbidden from having relations for me. That is directly connected to the Torah. So Lauren says, no, hanas tashmishecha alai. The hana of tashmish, the hana of tashmish with you is forbidden to me. So he's not forbidding, right? It's a play on words, right? He's not forbidding her to get hana from him. He's forbidding himself to get hana from her. Now, there is no Torah obligation for her to provide him onasa, right? So, and therefore, and therefore he's coming to go ahead and Aser basically the tashmish with her. Damar Rav Kana, and we see like Rav Kana says tashmishech alecha. My tash is us you. Kaifin I saw. Then we force her to go Meshamto, the Shuvah Meshavdi lake, right? So in a case where he says my tash is us upon you, then we force him to have relations, and he violates his nether. However, if he says hanas tashvishach alai, but the hanas tashish is forbidden to me, then usher, then that would stand she'ein because we don't feed someone who's davar asur. Now, such a nether would be chal. Such a nether would be chal in such a case, and therefore, since the nether is it's not direct, even though yes, einachinami, it goes both ways. Now, if they're forbidden for relations, right? Then it should be both ways because there's one action. Nevertheless, since the nether is not directly against it, so therefore, since it's not directly against what the Torah commands it, it's only the other way backwards. Therefore, such a nether would be chal in such a case, and therefore that's the case of the Mishnah now, where he says, "My hana is forbidden to you," because that would be usher, that would be directly connected to Torah. Rather, the hana tashish with you is usher upon me, and therefore then he would violate by Yachud Varo if he does have relations with his wife. All right, we'll stop here at the Mishnah. Everyone have a wonderful day. We'll continue this mitzvah Hashem tomorrow.